What are key challenges that you've come across recently? So I'm keen to understand what the challenges are potentially in the creative industry around whether it's client engagements or whether it's productivity because people have had to work at home. Has there been something that's been quite stand out for you, like a real key challenge that's just been coming more prevalent or more reoccurring that has been a bit of a headache for you that other people might have experienced as well?
And it's probably the usual one it's been about for years, and every industry gets it, to be fair. And it's the usual because people don't understand in some ways what you're selling. You know, like the branding thing. Prime example is I sent a proposal to somebody, and then they questioned it because they literally thought they were just getting the logo, but we'd quoted on a hell of a lot of stuff. And obviously the company that they were using currently had quoted them like next to nothing for it, and I had to explain it fully. But at least I got a chance to explain it. But I think a lot of the times, you know, you'll send these proposals out and people will just see the figure and not see the value in it. But once you kind of explain it to it, they get it. And I think that's just an industry-wide thing because things are readily accessible, say on things like Fiverr and things like, you can go and pay for a logo on Fiverr or
Cost 40 quid.
Yeah, an animation done or whatever. But there's no a lot of thought process behind it, or they don't do any research I think it's but that's educating your audience again. That's once people realise what you do and how you do things, I think that's a lesser thing. But I know all our industry is exactly the same.
Well, ours is exactly the same.
Yeah.
I could think about, at least 4 or 5 instances in the last year where we might have sent a quote over and that quote has been, all they do is scroll to the bottom, look at the price and go, wow.
Yeah.
And they've not actually read the above material as to what we're going to deliver and who we're going to upskill and what the return of investment is going to be, what the increase of productivity will be, what the reduce of waste will be forecasted. You could go on forever. And it does come down to cost at the end of the day, but at the same time is weighing up that cost versus benefit.
Yeah. And there's sometimes the weird thing, it's like with branding especially, you can quite easily get it wrong. And obviously you see some of the big companies doing it and then reverting to old brands because they've totally gone off the mark and people have questioned it why. But if you think of, say, for a smallish business and they're spending X amount on that, with a cheaper firm, say, then they might end up paying that out quite soon after, again, purely because it's not been right, So I think that's it's a key thing.
Yeah.
Try and make that right decision, and that's why when we're doing it, I don't do the hard sell thing because we don't. If people just sign up because I've done the hard sell, it's you kind of you've got that pressure barrier all the time. It's like there's a barrier there, thinking, well, I've signed this document saying I'm going to pay them this much, and I don't feel comfortable with that. But if you've crossed that bridge already, where it's in their hands, and you kind of.
You mentioned about some of the big businesses potentially getting the brands wrong. What measures have you put in place with your teams to make sure that if say you're creating the brand or agent doing it, that you don't get it wrong?
I mean, I'm pretty sure when, obviously, like I say, these bigger businesses that are doing it and then end up reverting. One of the prime examples, they spent absolutely millions on it when the post office tried doing it. They changed the name and everything and then reverted back purely because people were like, well, why we changed it? But the messaging was totally wrong and they spent millions on it. But obviously the team that were in charge of that obviously thought they'd done the right thing. But sometimes you can only go on what the client's telling you. So if they're telling you the wrong message and where they want to be and everything else, then you've kind of got to reiterate that throughout. And then if you think there's an alarm bell, because when you go through the process, you can kind of pick up some things where you think, well, that doesn't match with what you're saying at this point. So then you kind of after.
I was going to say, how do you do that if you've got somebody that's got a very firm belief in what they want and you actually just know that it's wrong? I mean, I'm guessing you've partly answered that in there.
Yeah, I tell them pretty much. So sometimes people do have set things about, like, say, even how the things need to look. But end of the day, you're not designing for yourself.
Yeah.
You're designing for your target audience, and that's kind of where, obviously I've been doing it quite a while now, and it is an experience thing helps, but it is sometimes difficult to persuade them, no, you're wrong. And I think, and at some point, you have to think, I can't do this then, because it will go wrong. And then they're only going to point the finger at us, even though we've told them it might be wrong. That.
So you set Ginger Fox up on your own.
Yeah.
Do you find it better now you've got a team of people around you for that creativity side of things? If you've got an idea, you can bounce it off somebody else, and actually, as you could, or Lucy could turn around and go, "It's crap that, Neil. They'll do something different." Or, "Yeah, really good that, Neil. We'll keep with that."
Yeah.
You've got different ideas, and you've got two more pair of eyes looking over something and they've also got their experience that underpins them working with you. So you'd like to think that collaboratively between the three of you, that you've got the risk is potentially less to make the solution right.
Yeah. In a lot of ways. I mean, like I say, you can come up with the most creative idea ever, but it could be totally off key for that client. But you think it might be the best thing. It's a weird thing with being creative. You kind of get blinded sometimes by things are just looking really nice. But if it doesn't work or doesn't work with the messaging that's going to go alongside it, it's kind of pointless. In a way, it just becomes a piece of art and just looking pretty. So and I know when Asia first started, I think she was a bit hesitant to tell me things were wrong. And now I'm just a bit like, you just need to tell me if I've gone a bit little off kilter. But which is just exactly what I do with her. But because I understand the process and stuff, we can do loads of concepts, but you end up with just narrowing things down between.
Going off kilter is quite good though.
Yeah.
Because I know when we've done the work with you, now we've branded Brook, and then obviously the new venture we've got, you've done the branding for that with yourself. And every time we've done the brands, we've always had the safe option, the one that's pushing it a little bit, and the one that's really kind of off piece. And actually, for the new venture that we've got, we didn't go for the safe option, did we? So because we actually thought, let's go for that one, let's push it a little bit.
Yeah.
So while we might not have gone with that if we'd have just been presented I don't mean the safe option, but the one that you'd probably go for in every 8 times out of 10. But it sometimes works, doesn't it? And we were like, yeah, let's go for that one. That looks really good.
It doesn't again because that one will fit within this kind of sector it's going to be in. So it's getting the right fit for things as well. I mean, and there's a lot of brands now that use it. Like I said, they're using it's like crazy type and things like that. That works for some businesses, but not others. And they might only use that for a few years, and then they'll be like, right, we can't use that because that style's dead now. But a lot of brands can't sustain that. So like I said, they have the overall, and then they kind of have a sub-identity what they create, and it's kind of, we'll do all this mad stuff, but then we'll have to change it because fashions change, especially in that kind of industry. It's like, so it's kind of important getting that right thing, but not kind of sometimes going too far out there.
It's good to have the option though.
But you can rein it back in as well.
It was really good to have the option because we had 3 different identities, and we said, between us, let's use this bit from identity 2, but then we'll pull down the formatting from identity 2, and we almost created a number 4 out of 2 and 3, didn't we?
Yeah. It was the way the structure of some of the concept work off the back of one of the other ones kind of worked, wasn't it? Yeah. But it all fits together.
I think that's right from what you said earlier, though, isn't it? It's knowing the customer.
Yeah.
It's as with anything with business. If you know the customer, then if you've got something that's a bit wacky, and yet you're aiming it at, a corporate type organisation, it's probably not going to work.
How was it setting up Ginger Fox? So it's a big leap of faith for setting up on your own, because you've got to create the business, you've got to create the branding and the identity and what your offer is. But you've also then on your own, aren't you? And you've got potentially no clients. And if you're not experienced in running their own business, you then got to set it up with the accounts and companies. How was it for you? Did it go according to plan? What did you do?
Well, when I started, it was kind of born out of, I'm going to say, what exactly redundancy? The company I worked for, they merged and then they closed the Doncaster office where I was working. So they merged with another digital marketing firm, and we're showing Doncaster office. So I kind of like, well, I'm not moving to where you're going to be located. So it kind of, what am I going to do next? So it was kind of it was kind of set up to survive in a sense. You know, it wasn't like I've always wanted to do it, but I was taking that leap on your own terms, as sometimes you wouldn't do it just because it's scary. But then, so basically it was message a few old clients who I'd worked with at other agencies and things before, and luckily it was a tell me you're going on your own kind of thing. And I was like, oh well, luckily enough. And I kind of built a small client base of 2 or 3 clients and one decent retainer within a few days, really, of making that decision. So and then, as they say, the rest's kind of history. But yeah, being on my own was scary, and not really. Obviously, I've done a lot of freelance work on the side, kind of thing, but not ran my own setup in a way.
You sort of said earlier as well that one of the big struggles for you was, because you're creative, is to keep that eye on the actual business side of things as well. So I'm guessing that what you've just said, though, demonstrates that you had got an understanding of business, because you actually put a bit of a safety net in there to start off with. But what do you do on an ongoing basis now then to make sure that you take some time away from being creative and actually just focus on keeping the business on track?
Yeah, I try and allocate myself time in a sense, but sometimes obviously we get that inundated with work. Sometimes then you have to catch up, but usually a day a week at least, I try and sit there and I said kind of do the boring stuff in some ways, because the creativity is what I love doing, and I don't think I could ever let go of that. It shouldn't just be a pure agency owner. But obviously that's doing a lot of the meetings and stuff, and I try and kind of get it all into one thing to try and build things a bit more.
Thanks for listening to Biz 15, the voice of the SME. Please log on to our website, which is brookconsult.co.uk, or follow us on Instagram, Brook Consult, or Apple, Spotify, which is Biz 15.